Howdy and aloha, everyone. It's James with Mono Talk. It is May the 30th, 2025. I have a kind of an interesting perspective on what's going on after the 125 days that Trump has been our legitimate president. And he's doing tons of things that people don't understand the future benefits of what's going to happen. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of concerns, which I get in regards to what he's doing, because it's new, it's different, it's taking a lot of people by surprise. But in his cabinet and his legal teams, and such as Pam Bondi, Department of Justice, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, Kash Patel, Director of the FBI now, RFK Jr., Health and Human Services Director, and then Dan Bundingo. And then I'm seeing a lot of other players, Bergman and Pete Hegseth, and I could go on and on with the list, and a lot of people out there doing a lot of things that are very revealing, especially with DOGE coming through, the Department of Government Efficiency, which was needed decades ago. Just it's interesting and surprising as hell that people are upset that there's actually somebody looking into all the fraud, the waste, the abuse, and a lot of, from my perspective, tons of criminal, felonious activity. And the new consensus, it just seems right now that's coming across the board is everyone's like, enough of the effing reporting, enough of the effing exposing, pointing out the obvious. People want to start throwing Demoncrats and Rhipiglicans in jail. They want to see some charges. They want to see some. They don't want to see hearings. They don't want the fucking Rand Paul dog and pony show hearings. They don't want that shit. There's also people out there. We're starting to believe that the fraud, the waste, and abuse of our taxpayers' money, I guess it isn't a crime, right? That's another perspective that's happening right now. Another concern that a lot of MAGA, MASA, MAHA have in regards to what's going on out there. I mean, they've been poisoning us for a long time, but nobody's held responsible. They've let these poisonous dyes, this geoengineering happening in the skies, cloud seeding shit, crap, whatever. And just a plethora. It's just an insurmountable amount of from what I think is complicit behavior, not negligent, not like, oh, we fucked up kind of shit, or, we just weren't paying attention that day, or somebody decided to write a check for some DEI trans program in Poland, for a few $1 million. It just shit happens, it's just, no. We need to see charges. I get why people are concerned. And then the most concerning of the concerning is, are the Republicans actually going to take this past 4 years, and possibly the Obama and Big Mike years, and reveal a lot of, Hillary Clinton's body bags? I mean, for God's sakes, Seth Rich, Lucas, the process server served Hillary Clinton. The debacle, that Seth Rich's debacle. Kim.com was just all over that, if you guys remember. And we were too. And then Crossfire Hurricane, the Comey, and then we have the Fauci dossier that nobody ever talks about. It's just a mountainous amount of just criminal activity that I've ever seen in my life, especially in the past 4 years, ever since the illegitimate Biden administration actually insurrected into and forced Trump out. and he just had to go. I'm not sure if it was, he's just like, all right, whatever, I'm fucking gone, but I'll be back, motherfuckers. I'm not sure if that's the way it was, or if he's just like, what? I guess I lost. Oh, but now he's saying, which he's said several times now in his briefings, the 2020 election was rigged and he's going to prove it. And they're going to prove it. Okay, then let's see it. Because the J6 committee was a gigantic biased farce. I mean, they wouldn't allow lawyers or from the right or from the Republicans to come in and argue their case or debate or provide any proof in regards to J6. It just didn't happen. Not that it didn't happen, they wouldn't allow it. It was just this court committee hearing thing that was just nobody else but the Demoncrats. And it was just more of the show. And then we have recently that Trump and that Dan Bonadingo and Casper Town Trump, they're bringing up the fact that, yes, they actually made the call to bring in 10,000 troops or more troops or whatever. And Pelosi and everybody said, no, we're not going to do it. Well, we know it was a fucking trap. We know it was all set up. We know it was orchestrated. I mean, I have plenty of proof to show that on all my channels. And by the way, this is my first channel that I finally got back after 4 years, which is freaking awesome. I guess it could be that Trump's backing off because I've appealed countless times to try to get it back on, but I finally got it back. And if you go back and look at about 2020, you're going to see that I was telling people not to fucking take the thing that everybody was taking in late 2020 and 2021. I fucking spent about $120 something trying to warn Jimmy Dore not to fucking take the thing, but he took it twice. And everybody else, and then there were a lot of people in this group that used to come here that used to agree with what I was finding out. And some people just said, no, we're going to believe Big Pharma. We're going to believe the World Health Organization. We're going to believe Klaus Schwab. We're going to, Yuval Harari. We're going to just praise those people. And then the Green Party just fully went to the fucking straight to the World Economic Forum. And basically everything on the Green Party website almost mimics what you'll see on the World Health the World Health Organization's website, and you'll see a lot of that on the World Economic Forum's website as well. And a lot of the NGOs out there that were pushing for this genocidal bioweapon to be put upon the earth, which 60% of the people on the earth basically did. So now we're having a problem with people giving birth. We're having a problem with inception. We're probably having a problem with fertilization. Your kids are not. I mean, it's just bad. But the thing right now, even though that's kind of still hovering above us, and and I see that Trump's kind of pulling away from those globalist predator class fuckheads. It's just, to me, it's almost like the Republicans want the Democrats to stay around, so you can continue to watch the ping pong match, so you continue to watch the tennis match, the back and forth, the back and forth. It's just, and it's kind of seeming that way when I'm watching. I don't know what. Eric Schmidt is the senator for the state of Missouri, which I'm at now, and Josh Hawley, and they're talking about insurance agents, Allstate, and farmers, and this crap, and they're also talking about like right here, they're speaking about. Eric Schmidt's talking about proud to be helping lead the Senate probe into alleged cover-up of Biden's decline. Look, we know it. We know that. That's not really what what is that going to do? He's gone. He was gone at least a half a year prior to the whole before him even running. It was insanity, in my opinion. I've never seen such elderly abuse in my life. And then Otto Penn comes around, and they're talking about Otto Penn. And I mean, Glenn Greenwald, and what he does with his private time is his thing. And by the way, Glenn Greenwald is gay, but he's a great reporter. And so is Julian Assange is not gay, but he's a great reporter as well. And by the way, both of them brought the Podesta files and Hillary's emails, and people forget about all that. And it's really interesting that these guys aren't going after the mountainous amount of criminal activity that's out there. I keep saying these words. By the end of 2026, there should not be a Democratic Party left on the planet. There should be maybe 5 people left in the House and the Senate, both. I mean, they're just the stuff we're about to find out, and I'm sure there's going to be some Republicans that are going to be part of it too. But it seems like, and you have Cotton, not Tom Cotton, but Toon, and a few others. Of course, you have Mitch McConnell, you have Liz Cheney, you have Lindsey Graham, Susan Collins. You have a bunch of, rhinos in a sense. Mike Johnson, the House leader for the Republicans, the majority House leader for the Republicans. I just think he's a little sweezel. I think he's just fully and completely misinforming Donald Trump on a daily fucking basis, confusing the fuck out of him, and nobody will step in and say, Don, this little shithead isn't doing what you want. He's not doing the things you need. He's telling you he is, but he's not really doing it. Because a lot of people like MTG and Matt Gaetz, if you remember Matt Gaetz, which I remember Matt Gaetz, he's the single line guy. He's the single line legislation man. Probably the greatest thing besides term limits on most of these people, after 12 years, I think, in my opinion. I mean, you get seasoned for 2 years, and the 4th year you're good, 6 years, 8. And I think the max, in my opinion, should be 10 to 12 years. 10 to 12 years. I don't think these people should be in office for this fucking long. Good for you. Here's your pension. Take care. Bye-bye. But Matt Gaetz is the single line guy, right? And he's and Thomas Massey, who I fucking just is a bulldog. The guy stands his ground, but he doesn't have much help. Now Rand Paul's flip flopping all over the place. He does the dog and pony show hearings with Fauci. Nothing really happens with that guy, honestly. I don't really see. After he's did bark, but nothing really happens kind of person, in my opinion. Now that I've kind of give you what's going on, basically, here's the problem. I mean, I'm concerned they want to keep him around. That's the biggest problem I have. They have more than enough information, proof, documentation, videos to completely annihilate, and I'm not talking about physically or forcefully, I'm talking about legally annihilate the Democratic Party. And I hope that they're building that case. There is one thing that Glenn Greenwald was talking about when he was speaking with
what is happening at the FBI? Okay, because
and I want you guys to watch this with Glenn.
I do not have a conspiratorial bone in my body. I truly don't. Like I reject virtually all of them. I just don't. I'm just not like minded toward believing in virtually any of them. Probably too much so, to be honest. But this is weird. Something weird is happening at the FBI, or so it would seem. So Kash Patel sat down with Bret Baier for special report last night, meaning Wednesday evening. And they got into a bit of, like, What's happening with the Epstein files? Where are they?
What the fuck's
Listen to
happening?
this.
There are.
The Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria, you said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever. But I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that. And it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up.
Now, I get that. We're talking decades, at least a couple of decades of this child pedophilia brothel shit that happened. Not just on the island. It was, like I said to everybody, you're going to find out it was more than just an island. It was fucking everywhere. But the problem is who's connected. And the issue, and you know, I'm just going to let this continue, and I'll just kind of. Also, I just wanted to add this: that files that have been around for a long time, videos that have been around for a long time, which is odd because there actually was no video, even though each cell has a video. I guess this cell in particular, where Epstein was at, didn't have a video. Right? It shows the aftermath, but not him actually doing it, which is really odd. Honestly, it's stupid and it's revealing. It's bullshit. That shouldn't have happened. And guards were missing and all. I mean, one of the most secure facilities of imprisonment on the planet all of a sudden had a gigantic, negligent brain fart and forgot that fucking criminal number one decides to off himself. Which their goal was to not only keep him alive, but to protect him and keep him alive. And do whatever it takes to make sure that he makes it to court. But it seemed like they did whatever they could to make sure he wasn't going to make it to court. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, who are these people involved? Where are the connections? The files may have been tampered with. Maybe they've been redacted. But like I've always said, now I'm not gonna play it totally, but I'm just gonna show you a little bit of it right here.
Where is the Ark? Where is the Ark?
I thought we'd settled that. The Ark is somewhere very safe.
From whom? The Ark is a source of unspeakable power, and it has to be researched.
And it will be, I assure you, Dr.
And he goes here and they talk.
You don't look very happy.
Fools. Bureaucratic
What'd
fools.
they say?
They don't know what they've got there.
All right. And then it cuts to this. Here. Can you see that? I think you guys can see that. And there he goes, top secret, in this giant warehouse. Okay, this enormous, gigantic warehouse, which is bigger than the fucking Anaheim Convention Center. And there it is. Right? And my point there being, they don't throw away anything, man. They don't throw it away. They archive it. It's called the National Archives. And everything's there. Right? And they have other archives, I'm sure, in these certain areas that are probably in vaults to hide certain things. Maybe the Gulf of Tonkin, maybe MK Ultra, maybe 9/11, Building 7, maybe a lot of shit. Whatever UFOs, and like I said about fucking UFOs, if I'm if I'm an alien, and I can press a button and travel through space and time, warp fucking factor 4 or whatever, why in the fuck would I come here? I might stop by to look at the animals, like a zoo. It could be what we are. Somebody kind of said we are kind of like an ant farm. But the point being is this information doesn't really disappear. And if you think it does, then, maybe I should take that pill. Because that's the blue pill. The blue pill says that everything's bright, all things bright and beautiful, right? And I'm telling you, it's not. It's just not. There's just so much crap out there that needs to be revealed. It needs to be exposed. If we are going to be transparent, then let's do it. The fall of Rome and many empires before us had many little secrets and little problems, and Caesar and his, I think there was some, some infidelity and a few other things that were happening. Not just that. There was all kinds of shit happening. And I'm sure that, I've said this, I'll say it again. We can't really evolve as a species or as a country, as an entity, right? Representing great ethics, good ethics, decent ethics and morals and values and folkways and norms that everybody can think, wow, that is the beacon of light. The Statue of Liberty really does mean that these people are good and decent and free-spirited and blah, 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 wonderful, blah, 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 fantastic, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the case if we're just going to fucking put everything in a goddamn warehouse. That's it. It's just that warehouse at some point is going to explode. So, and a good example of that was the Great Library of Alexandria, where they were trying to get rid of a lot of information because the Greeks had just tons of scouts and voyagers and people that were going out conquering and navigating throughout the world and areas and bringing back knowledge from different cultures and different species and different types of animals and stuff like that, different religions, and they were learning and learning and learning and learning and learning, and then it was an open library, and only certain people, and just keep in mind, not a lot of people read back in those days. Maybe 2 or 3% of the global population knew how to actually read something that had letter formations to create a word into a sentence and a phrase and a book, blah, 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 So, but it was happening, and then they tried to destroy it 3 times. It's great and bad. We're in that place. Are we going to keep the Demoncrats around? Are we going to keep the Rhipiglicans around? This is the problem. Let's continue. I just want to hear a little bit more. But when I'm watching this kid Cash, man, I'm just like, dude, I don't know, man.
To get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them on everything.
Yeah.
They're like, nah. It's just, look at their faces. They're both like, I don't know, man. It just seems like once you take is that just the way it works? That's the thing that gets me the most about these FBI people and these CIA people. Is it the oath that as soon as you get in, everything else doesn't matter? Is that the way it works? Everybody is expendable. What we do in this organization is the only thing that matters. Is that the way it works? Because it sure seems like that's the way it works. Right? Everybody on the outside of these walls in this department, CIA, FBI, who knows, Department of Justice, I'm not sure, just all kinds of fucking places. Only goes through these walls, only stays in these walls. Stays in these walls. And does not leave this area. Or this sanctum, right? We keep the parchments and everything here, and nothing leaves the vault. And, it's just fucking weird. It's just fucking weird, man. I'm trying to... It's alarming, actually. Alarming isn't really, it's concerning, right? That's why I'm talking about it. But it's kind of, it's scary. Is that it? Is this going to just fucking keep happening? Is the golden age just more of like a tarnished copper age? Because the past 4 years with the illegitimate Biden administration was dirt brown or doo-doo brown, caca brown, feces brown for sure. That was just ridiculous. Are you going to be the opposite and like real gold? Is everybody going to get a piece of this gold? Are we going to see what's going on? Are we going to let all the gold hoarders continue to hoard the gold? Is that what this is about? Because it's kind of seeming a lot like that. It seems it's portraying itself that way, that they want to keep the old guard, the deep state, the Demoncrats, the Rhipiglicans in operation so that they can keep getting their cash cows. They'll find another department. They'll find another way. They'll keep the wars going. They'll find maybe some other future pandemic or something like that in the future. Or maybe, people are talking about asteroids or talking about UFOs. Or who fucking knows what they're going to conjure up? Right? It's just exhausting. It's exhausting. Just fucking tell us what's going on. We're all big people. We're all adults. There are some people on the left that'll probably freak out and flip out, but I think we deserve the truth. That's why we voted for Donald Trump. Because people like Cash Patel and people like Dan Bonadingo and people like Pam Bondi and all these other people and Tulsi Gabbard and, where the fuck is the tallow? I got 5 restaurants that I know of that are only serving tallow in the entire country. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right? And it's nothing. Thank you for taking out the dyes and some of the poisons and making sure there's pure cane sugar. There's a lot of good things. The USDA, the FDA, and a bunch of other things need to be fixed as well. There's just so much that needs to be fucking repaired. But the biggest thing that needs to be repaired is to get rid of the duopoly. Get rid of the deep state. Get rid of the fucking Rhipiglicans and the Demoncrats that have been just a blood-sucking plague upon this country for far too long, for decades. Probably started around the NAFTA times. When NAFTA came around, it's kind of like when it all kind of started, actually. And maybe I'm not going to give you the history on that. I'm just going to tell you. And then they started to figure out what they could do and how they could do it and how they could move money around, how they could start the wars. War's been a racket for a long time. I get that. But there's so many other ways that they can siphon, remove money and put it in Cayman Island accounts, Swiss bank accounts, South African accounts, and all these other accounts all over the fucking world, right? And is Tulsi Gabbard with $141 million? I saw that somewhere. Is that what? What? I swear I saw that somewhere. How the fuck is that woman worth? Anyway, let's just watch the rest of this.
Okay. So that's him talking about Epstein. He said he believes Epstein committed suicide and that they're going through the files to make sure we get everything. This, of course, comes on the heels of Pam Bondi calling all these influencers to the White House and giving them files saying this is everything, only to find out that everything in those files was already publicly released and there was absolutely nothing new in them. Okay. Then she said the FBI's got documents we didn't know about, so we're going to get to the bottom of them. This is months ago. And now he says they're going through them. I mean, it's been a while. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not saying he's lying. I just don't know what's happening here. I haven't figured it out. So Dan Bongino goes on Fox and Friends, and here he is talking about Epstein, SOT 12.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not
killing himself. The afterward. And every cell has a camera to direct, but this particular camera just didn't work. So we didn't actually see him. We just know they believe that he did it.
Not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that.
What do you mean that entire bay only had one kid? That's bullshit. Look, I've had tickets. I've been in trouble. I've been in jail. When I was a kid, I was anyway. I was a nightmare for my mom when I was younger, but now we're good friends. Anyway, I'm just saying. Everywhere you look in a prison cell in 2020, excuse me, and oh, hey, by the way, last time I've seen one of those things is like 30 years ago, 30, maybe 40 years ago is the last time I saw a cell, right? And they had video cameras everywhere, in every angle. You could not be seen. And he's saying there was one camera in the entire bay that I guess was working, because in that facility, from what we've heard before, and I could probably find it for you, there were many different cameras that weren't working. I think there were 3 in the vicinity, or directly kind of in a sense, pointing into his cell. And all of a sudden, they're not working. And like I said, one of the highest levels of imprisonment out there. The most secure facility on the fucking planet. And all of a sudden, guards fell asleep and didn't show up and weren't around, and cameras didn't take pictures and all this other shit. But Glenn Greenwald pretty much indicates kind of the obvious here.
When you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this, we are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
All right, Glenn, what's happening? Because
I just explained. He's wrong. He's going to get shit on in regards to that. And there's not just one camera in the bay. There's not. There were more cameras. And exit, entrance, and visiting prior to we don't know who visited him and who was around and what was going on. They record all the phone calls. There's just so much information.
It doesn't take that long to clean up, quote, clean up surveillance video
Here's pretty much
from
it,
one
right?
camera of one cell. I'm not sure what's happening here. I trust Dan. I don't know Cash as well, but I trust Dan. But I'm not sure we're getting the straight scoop.
Well, I think that's the key context, is that the two people kind of being out front on this are Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, who over the last 4 years as kind of pundits and guests on podcasts and the like, have been among the most popular people in the MAGA movement, the most trusted people in the MAGA movement, and also the most militant when it came to the Epstein files. You can find tape of both of them, especially Kash Patel, saying it is an outrage that we don't have these files. The FBI director could release them today. What is he hiding? So that created an expectation that when Kash Patel and Dan Bongino got into that exact office, FBI director, deputy director, that they would then rectify what they had been so vociferously complaining about. Here we are 5 months later, and we don't actually have anything. The second thing is, I'm not somebody who really aggressively doubted that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. I could see somebody who lived a life of luxury and living the high life, facing certain life in prison and deciding it's not worth it and trying to kill themselves. I don't really understand why people kill themselves in a federal prison, but it's happened before. But if they have proof that he killed himself, why don't they release it? That was the whole idea of transparency. And okay, if there's a video that needs work, how about the documents and the file they said they seen? But here's the biggest issue making with the Epstein file.
Here it is.
The question that has always hovered over the Jeffrey Epstein case was he got that sweetheart deal back in 2010 for trafficking minors for prostitution from Alex Acosta. He barely went to prison, got like a sweetheart deal. And Alex Acosta said afterward, I was told he was intelligence and therefore to leave him alone. So the real question, aside from like, are there people who participated with Jeffrey Epstein that we haven't heard of yet? And I'm not sure of that. We've had a lot of client lists released and the like. Was Jeffrey Epstein working with or for foreign intelligence agencies or domestic intelligence agencies? And if they have 1,000 or 5,000 videos of Jeffrey Epstein having sex with minors, feel free to go watch those. That's not what people are interested in them. Why can't they first release those documents about who else, to whom he sex trafficked children, given that nobody has been charged with receiving the sex trafficking, only Epstein with the sex trafficking? Those are the kinds of things that I don't think we're getting very.
Yeah, where's the? I brought this up countless times. Where are the Johns? They don't run and reveal the Johns. The Johns meaning the client list, the people that were paying to do these heinous, horrendous, and insidious things. And the problem is they just went after Ghislaine and Epstein. They didn't touch the Johns. And like I said, if you've got a brothel in Los Angeles, or I don't know if it's legal now, it might be because things have changed dramatically in California. But back, in this time, back in the early 2000s, late 2009, 10, 15, whatever. Yeah, it was very illegal in a lot of places to have these kind of activities, prostitution. So what happened is the Johns would get the fines. They would be exposed. They would get, and sometimes jailed if they were caught several times. And they were always exposed. They would crack down not just on the solicitor or the prostitute. They would actually take in and book and do whatever they needed legally to take care of that illegal situation with the Johns, with the customers. And none of that happened here. Everybody was asking that question. I mean, how obvious is it that they're protecting something? It's just fucking in your face like a giant billboard. Trump's cabinet right now seems to be protecting something, someone, or certain groups or something, and it's just very obvious at this point, and they need to stop. They need to say, wait a second. Like I said earlier, if we're going to hit the golden age, We got to be transparent. We got to hold people accountable. We got to expose it. We got to take the hit. We got to make amends. You know, we got to fix this shit. We can't keep going like this. Right? If that fucking warehouse with that ark or many arks are in that warehouse, let us know. Nothing's going to happen to us. They can't do anything to us. We're the most powerful military country in the fucking planet. We're just going to say, hey, by the way, just letting you know, and I'm sorry I got to say, this was our doing. This was part of us as well. And this, and this, and this, and this, and that too. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Right now I can hear it in their voices. Anyway, Cheryl, thank you for being here. I'm just kind of putting my point. I'm really concerned about the Democrats sticking around past 2026, which they shouldn't. If Trump does it right, he could actually just get rid of that party, and then maybe everybody will just go be independent. I mean, that's what George Washington wanted. George Washington was adamant about it. He was just, he was completely, and Trump's favorite president, and he has a picture of him, I believe in the Oval Office, is George Washington, his favorite president. And Trump, just to let you know, didn't really like the Republican Party, never really trusted the Democratic Party. But not until Laura Trump kind of took it over is when it actually started to become more of the Trump Party. But George Washington has said, I have already intimated to you the danger of parties in the state, with particular reference to the founding of them on geographical discriminations. Let me now take a more comprehensive view and warn you in the most solemn manner against the baneful effects of the spirit of party generally. He's talking about it being so bipolar. And it can get that way, right? He just didn't really like the idea at all. So anyway, let me see. Let me just get back to this. I pretty much finished up what I wanted to talk about. I think the goal here is for Trump, is for us to notify the Trump team and start. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's just sick and tired of the continuous, observing, reporting. If they're like a bunch of, everybody's like a fucking security guard. Like DOGE is like a security guard. Observe and report, but nothing happens. Then where are the cops? They never show up. Nobody's being charged. Nobody's being sent to jail. And I get it. We understand why. They've got to prepare the cases. But this whole thing with Epstein and the whole thing with a lot of other things are just, it's just kind of be like, I'm hearing Cash saying, we're going to reveal it, but people want to, the question needs to know, and the question that Brett Baer, Sean Hannity, Jesse Waters, or whoever, Laura Ingraham, or whoever is out there that actually questions Cash and Benigno and Dan Bonadingo and Pam Bondi, will people be held accountable? If there's information that you're finding, will they be charged? That's the question. And you need it's just I just think they're trying to protect a lot of people out there, and it's just we might have just the same old happening. The same old might start to fucking happen. And I'm really concerned about that. But that's not what Trump wants. He wants people to know what's going on. He wants to be out there, but he's surrounded by some goons. I am going to fucking tell you right now. Trump is surrounded by goons. Some very, very bad goons. And some of these people, oh, this is one of my favorites right here. Let's see if I can. Yeah, that's really all you're hearing or seeing right now is just a lot of reporting and a lot of people saying in their comments they're done. I mean, they want to see people fucking go, right? Thanks to DOGE, American taxpayers saved. And then if you look at the comments, why can't I see the comments here? This is so weird. Why can't I fucking see the comments? Where are they're usually on the side, right? Why can't I see the comments? Well said. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for saying the quiet part out loud. My dad left billions of dollars to serve the American people as president. He's the only person who could have survived what he was put through. He is a fucking final boss, so fuck you. Okay. Personal income increase in April. Big pharma. Oh yeah, see, like here's a comment right here. Can we get the Epstein list? Best I can do is deport you if you criticize Israel. I think I'm gonna leave with that. And that's pretty much what I'm feeling, man. That's pretty much what I'm feeling. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm feeling. Listen, everyone, if you guys know anybody that wants to come on and have some discussions on what's happening, let me know. I'll be more than happy to welcome them. They will be vetted, though. I just don't want any schmo. I actually had somebody that used to do a great job of commentating with me. She was wonderful. I hope to God that she gets back on and starts doing her stuff. And I am, believe it or not, talking about Stevie with Red Economics because her voice is needed out there right now. And I know she would do a great job as soon as she got on. She's just a great researcher. She's gift to gab was amazing. And she's attractive. So there you go. You got everything you need. The one thing I do want to say to everybody right now is share my content, like and subscribe, share my content. Okay? Because my perspective needs to get out. We need to get people to really think and dive deep into the abyss that I do, not just a fucking little rabbit hole, into the abyss, question authority and its sources at every turn, chickadee, check yourself before you wreck yourself, and make sure, and make damn sure that the people that you voted for are doing their jobs. The other day I called my state representative, and I mentioned something about an insurance thing that I was concerned about that was coming down the pike. And I called him and I left him a message. I haven't gotten a call back yet, but I will call again. Right? And a few other things. I've called my representatives, call them, leave messages, keep the lines busy, talk to the interns. Let them know who you are, what you do, what you represent. I mean, I've got a following of people. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting in touch with these people and letting them know why you wanted them to stay in office, why you voted for them. It's important. Tokyo Shemp. Who the fuck? I know Tokyo Shemp. Oh, God, it's Tokyo Shemp. Oh, God. What a pain in the ass. Dude, anyway, I know who it is now. Anyway, yeah, we'll just leave it with that. Can we get the Epstein list? Right? Best I can do is deport you if you criticize Israel. Yeah, not my country, by the way. Just letting you know. Israel is not my fucking country. Ukraine is not my fucking country. Right? I'm just, honestly, we can help here and there and do little things, but let's take care of us first, like we should be doing. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Aloha to everybody. Shaka, mahalo, take care. Bye-bye. Good seeing you, Cheryl.